How's everybody doing? We're gonna quickly talk about our project. The project is about yeast growth. The goal of that project is to test the growth of yeast under a combination of different factors. Using the data, we will determine which factor has the biggest impact on the yeast growth. We're gonna evaluate that using measurements in millimeters. We're gonna measure the height difference before and after adding the three different factors. We did some research before starting this project to see which three factors have the highest impact on yeast growth. The three different factors that came up were salt, starch, and sugar. Our prediction in the beginning of the experiment was that sugar is going to be the highest impact or the highest variable. I'm going to pass it over to my friend who's going to explain more about the how we picked the variables.
As my partner mentioned, we choose three variables: starch, sugar, and salt. We have the high setting and the low setting. It's either with or without the variables. The factors are either plus or minus. It's +1 is the high setting, -1 is the low setting. And in the experiment, the responses is based on the height of the growth of yeast. We also measure the initial height of the mixture and the final height, and also we use the scale to measure each variable 1 gram each. And
this is our data. As you guys can see, different factors: factor A, which was sugar; factor B, which was salt; and factor C, starch. If I go down a bit more, this is the table with the three different factors, the interaction sign. I don't know if you guys can see this, it's kind of bright in here, but the initial height, the final height, and the response, which is the difference. I'm gonna quickly discuss our Minitab results. It's kind of hard to translate those tables and graphs into words, but I'm gonna do my best. As you can see from the half normal plot, we have some outliers in our first run. This is our null and alternative hypothesis. And then I'm going to talk about the residual plots. Our normal plot fails the fat pen test. As you can see, we have some outliers. The histogram is skewed to the left, so it's not unimodal symmetric. Our versus fit looks kind of weird. I don't know what that translates into. So we rerun the analysis above. As you guys can see, the graphs were kind of weird. So we redid everything and we removed the factor that has the least impact on the yeast growth.
When we redo the experiment without the two factors, it was one factor that we removed. The plot, the normal plots, looks better than the first one, and the histogram still skewed to the left.
To conclude this experiment, I'm gonna quickly just gather all the information up. What we came up with was that the combination of salt and sugar has the highest impact on the yeast growth, and then the factors that had the least were salt and starch. Our prediction was wrong because the only factor that had the highest impact, the one factor, was salt. What I would recommend for anybody who wants to do this experiment in the future is, obviously, you need lab equipment to be precise and get accurate results. We didn't have lab equipment, so a lot of the measurements that we did were estimates, which kind of screwed up our results. We ran into other challenges. Obviously, human error was one. But otherwise, I think the experiment went the way we wanted to. The prediction wasn't right, but we still learned something new. And as you can see, the data helps predict other things. I'm gonna wrap it up and say thank you for listening. I would like to